I know for you, a lot of your conviction for encouraging and supporting others comes from your own story, your own childhood, your
Yeah.
story with family. And you've spoken about this before, and I know you write about it. Can you just give us a little bit of the picture of the story that you came from?
Yeah, man, did not know that my story would impact people the way that it has been um, when I was younger, or even now. And it's kind of where the book came from that you talked about earlier, named after kind of a greater story. And I started telling it in churches, and people started crying and coming up to me going, bringing me their adopted kids and, bringing me their messy situations and say, if God could do that with your life, then maybe there's hope for me yet. Man, I was 2 months old. I have a twin sister. We were 2 months when we got adopted. Now, we were born into extreme poverty. And if you look through the adoption papers that we found later in life, which I'll connect the dots in a second, but it traced some of our mother's steps back to some prostitution houses. Don't know if she was really prostituting or if she was just staying there. But that was their dad, addicted to crack, drugs, left the picture when our mother had me and my twin. Before they had me and my twin, they had 3 other brothers and sisters. So my mother was 21 when she had me and my twin. That's 5 kids, age 21, welfare, poverty, dad left. So she gave us up because she didn't have enough money to take care of the kids that she already had. And so, man, we get rescued out of poverty and adopted by a couple who had just given their life to Christ for the first time. My dad's 3rd marriage, the first 2, he was like, I did it my way. My mom's 2nd marriage, the first marriage for her, extremely abusive. And so my dad's 50 something when he adopts us. And it was just their chance to kind of, in a sense, their last chance at living a life that was worth, living. And hopefully that will be an example. Found out my mother couldn't have kids, so they came to adopt us. And when they came to adopt us, some 2 months later, when we had been given up for adoption, the lady said, who was working at the agency, you probably don't want to adopt them because they're probably going to be mentally challenged because of where they come from. They're not going to be much. Poverty, drugs, prostitution. And so they chose to adopt us anyway, because they just believed that God was writing a greater story. And so they adopt us, Black family, raise us on Auburn Avenue, the birthplace of the civil rights movement. And, my sister gets all A's from kindergarten up to 12th grade, becomes an industrial engineer, dual scholarship. And I ended up, on the, Canadian Leaders Podcast? Is that what we can call it? I mean,
I just want to assure you, Sam, this is not the pinnacle.
I get it, but it does mean something, right? I mean, but, I ended up here, man, and all the things that I'm doing, and God just he told an amazing story. And, years later, and this is kind of off topic, but it's what kind of the book is about.
I think it's worth the time though. Walk me through it. It's worth the time.
Okay. Some years later, man, we, my adopted dad, right? My dad decides that we need to go back and find our biological family. Now, up until that point, age 24, we didn't even know anything about, so me saying I've got brothers and sisters now and mother doing, crack and dad, I didn't know any of that. All I knew was we think your mother was poor. We think you might have siblings, but it was a closed adoption. So we never knew, and we were fine not knowing. I mean, we had a phenomenal family, Christian home, so on and so forth. Middle class, didn't have everything we wanted, but had everything that we needed. So my dad convinces my sister to write into the Steve Harvey show. And he says to me that God told him that the Steve Harvey was going to help us find our biological family. And I said, you've lost your mind. And I just got up and left. I said, you're crazy. He said, God told me, God told me this, that. I said, about a year goes by. They call my sister and say, hey, this is the producer. It was her first day on the job. She said, this is, we've got your story. We think we can help you find your parents. Do you want to do it? Wow. And my sister calls me upset because she didn't want to do it in the first place, but my dad was yelling. So she just did it. And, they call me and they ask me, I call her. And we end up going on. She doesn't want to do it, but she does it anyway. And when we get there, they say we couldn't find anyone, but we want to bring you on the show to make a plea that maybe your biological family would show up. And after the commercial break, they said, we're just kidding. Your mother's here. Eleanor, come on out. And on national television, we meet our mother. And then he says, and your siblings. And we meet our siblings, same mom, same dad, and our mother for the first time after 25 years on Steve Harvey Show. So that's kind of my upbringing. That's what the book is about, unpacking all of that. And I mean, here I am, man.
That is stunning. It's just stunning, man. It's incredible.